We begin with the kind of big news in America that has at times been occluded and pushed aside by other big news around the world, and that may be understandable. But this is the big story, and it would have been, quite frankly, in a different news environment, the big story for weeks running. The president on the way to changing the composition of the Supreme Court. Joe Biden's pick is poised for a major win tonight. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson on a path here to be much closer now with what we're about to see to joining this court, which would make her the first black woman to ever sit on the highest court in the land, in America. Now, just moments ago here late in the day, the Senate Judiciary Committee went forward with the vote about advancing her to the full Senate for a vote. Now, this was effectively deadlocked, 11-11, and that means the nomination goes forward.
On favorably reporting the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to be Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, the clerk will call the roll.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 11 yeas, 11 nays. It's a tie vote.
The committee has recorded a tie vote on Judge Jackson's nomination to be the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
That was the news late in the day inside the Senate Judiciary Committee room. That was the tie vote. You may recognize that room from the at times controversial questioning of the nominee. What you're looking at right now is the Senate floor live, because this is a big night for the Senate. The Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, who has the power, is setting up what will be a floor debate. Then you'll see, as Mitch McConnell and others weigh in, that folks will speak to both the process, that's procedure, and the outcome, whether or not she will join the Supreme Court. There is going to be a procedural vote in the full Senate soon. But that's not the one we're really watching. That's just going to be 51 votes to go forward with the voting process. The big vote, the final confirmation vote, is expected actually later in the week because of the way the Senate operates. And there are signs that Jackson will have enough support to be on the court. As reported, she got one Republican already publicly voicing her support before the official vote on the floor. That's Susan Collins. Many are watching Senator Mitt Romney and Senator Lisa Murkowski as other Republicans who might come around to support Biden's nominee. Then there's something else that came up that has more of the circus vibe you might recall from the confirmation hearings, with Republicans basically making refutable claims about what people across the aisle in legal circles and the police unions and other groups have said is a valid, legitimate mainstream nominee. Well, we're hearing something else.
If Judge Jackson is confirmed, I believe she will prove to be the most extreme and the furthest left justice ever to serve on the United States Supreme Court.
Judge Jackson will coddle criminals and terrorists.
Judge Jackson is beholden to the radical left that is teaching our children that they can choose their own sex.
Let me just say for the record, sex crimes against children are not fiction.
After 4 days of hearings, I now know why the left likes her so much.
What you see here is the narrative, the language, the rhetoric of a loss. That's why you heard more predictions about how she'll be on the court, because even Republican senators who really went to the mat against her, and sometimes with claims that were misleading or fact-checked, are treating it as something of a given on that committee that she will join the Supreme Court. And now they're warning that they believe or fear she will be extreme. Well, we'll report if she joins the court on what her decisions are like and whether they're in the legal mainstream or not. Senator Graham there said that he discovered why the left likes her so much. Of course, he put her in the position to get on the Supreme Court. He was one of the Republican votes that put her on the Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. Graham had stormed out of the earlier hearing. Today, he's now said the quiet part out loud, and with some trolling along the way.
If we get back the Senate and we're in charge of this body, and there's judicial openings, we will talk to our colleagues on the other side. But if we're in charge, she would not have been before this committee. You would have had somebody more moderate than this.
That's Lindsey Graham's view, and he has the right to say it, although the history here doesn't always completely align. You have a Republican Party that already denied a lawful Supreme Court appointment, even getting a hearing under Obama. That's what McConnell did, famously to Merrick Garland, who's better known now as the Attorney General. It was back in 2016 when McConnell denied even process or a hearing. That broke precedent at the time. What we are seeing in the gasps of this loss, potentially, or this anger, is the idea that Joe Biden is winning, that he found a nominee that could get through even a divided Senate, because the Democrats do have the last call as long as they stay together. With that update on what we see here and the looming vote, we are joined by some very special guests, former acting U.S. Solicitor General Neil Katyal and president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition and a longtime civil rights lawyer, Barbara Arnwine. Welcome to you both. Barbara, I mentioned earlier something that isn't really a criticism of the system or the press or the world, but just the reality that there's been a lot going on. I think people who watch the news understand that. And in any other couple of weeks in recent American history, we would have been on this constantly. There have been other hearings that have gotten that measure of coverage. I recall them, no matter who's president. We have been distracted as a nation and as a globe for good reason. But as she gets another close-up here, and as I mentioned, Republican votes coming into gear, it's not my job to predict, but I can count, and we're counting up to over 50. What's on your mind with the history that might be made here?
Well, I think it's an incredibly historic moment for this nation. I mean, this nation needs a diverse Supreme Court. With a diverse population, with a diverse constituency, we need to have diverse judges. And what I love about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is that she is so eminently well qualified. And I'm going to tell you, Durbin got it right today. How many of us could have sat through that kind of bashing, misrepresentation of our history, just misstating the law, all of these just absolutely fallacious and wicked, commentary that's been made. How many of us have ever stood somewhere as a woman and been asked to define what is a woman? It is something really ugly here. It's this misogynoir, this Black womanism is being used to really debase just an incredibly talented jurist. So what I hate is what that was. But then on the other hand, there's the great news that she's going to be confirmed, and that when she's on that court, she will continue to bring that beautiful high-level intellectualism and that high-level just wonderful comportment. She will be an amazing justice, and we all will be happy to see her. And I can tell you, Black women are going to be celebrating all over the country, all over the world. We're ready.
There you have it. Who runs the world, as it were. Neil, your credential here, which I think viewers know, also speaks to the way you're going to talk about a court that you have argued in front of and may argue in front of again. So you're talking about someone that may rule in your cases. That's your expertise. It's also kind of something people could be aware of. But this court. What would it mean for her to join it? Given, as mentioned, she brings diversity in many senses, including, as we've reported, a public defense background that doesn't currently exist on the high court.
Yeah, so I think my old friend Barbara nails it on the head. This is someone who's incredibly, incredibly qualified. Indeed, she had to be more than incredibly qualified to get this far, as you can tell by the way the Republicans have treated her. She's got poise, she's got character, she's got brilliance. And that's why, 2/3 of Americans are a supporter, which is a much larger number than many of the past nominees. And, this court is, the most conservative court in our lifetimes. I think people on the left and right both agree. And it's been made so because of a couple of recent appointments in which Justice Kavanaugh replaced Justice Kennedy, which moved the court quite a bit to the right. And then Justice Barrett replacing Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, moving the court much farther to the right. And so this vote, in a way, I don't see Justice Jackson being tremendously different from her former boss, Justice Stephen Breyer. I think you're right to say on criminal issues she might be. But on the lion's share of stuff, she's exactly where I think Justice Breyer was. And it's so telling. Justice Breyer was confirmed 87-9. And now this, joke Senate committee, Republicans on the Senate committee, they're cartoon characters. They can't even, vote for someone who really carries Justice Breyer's tradition forward. I mean, the nominee is not what's changed here between 1994 and now. What's changed is the Republican Senate, which has become far more extreme, far more radical. And, it's a shame to see.